So you've got the beginner box for Battletech. You've got the game of armored combat for Battletech. And now we jump into the greater aspects of the game, the greater narrative, by asking Fritz, what units, what mechs should I consider buying next? Now, there's two ways to explore this, and I'm going a little bit extreme in both areas just to highlight it. There is somewhat of a middle path, but I have to ask you, the Battletech enthusiast, and there's no right or wrong answer, and eventually your collection is going to grow to where you can satisfy both of these answers. But in terms of resources, priority, and obtaining various mechs, I find it beneficial to select one of these paths. Are you a competitive wargamer, meaning you want to put the focus primarily 100% winning on the mission? You want to select the best, most efficient, and ruthless machines in the game? That's one way to build off the core box and push in that direction. Another way is to play the narrative. And again, I'm going a little bit extreme here. The narrative is, I want to collect a diversity of mechs for a variety of roles, a variety of different situations. So this way I can explore missions from the perspective as they reflect in the technical manuals, as they reflect in the novels. You might not always have the most efficient and optimal machines for the mission at hand. The great thing about Battletech, and eventually, again, you're going to get to both of these paths as your collection grows, but the great thing about Battletech is there is so much information, a wealth of a narrative. It is very overwhelming, but you're going to get a lot of use out of your model collection, out of your miniature collection. My path and my recommendation to you would be to pursue the narrative. And I say that's not to say you can't build a narrative list and have it be competitive, but from the perspective of someone who's been playing Battletech for a long time, who's been playing war games for a long time, as you move ahead in your Battletech career, you're going to win lots of games, you're going to lose lots of games, and in between there, both with wins and losses, you're going to have these magical moments. You're going to have these moments on the tabletop where you remember what happened. I can remember Battletech campaigns. I can remember games visually in my mind, even right now as we're listening to this podcast, like they happened yesterday. I remember them. I'm at the point where when I pull out various mechs from my case, they have a living history. So I want to get you into that aspect of the game because long term, in terms of longevity and getting the most out of your collection, I believe that is the way to go. And the box set, interestingly, in my opinion, and certainly the comments for those of you who've been playing for a little while, I'd like to get your perspective on it. I feel like the box set wants to push you in this direction. Now, up on my archive, up on my channel here, there's a Battletech intro series where we go through all of the mechs in the beginner set and in the game of armored combat set, along with the variants, and look at some ideas, explore some options. And I have to say, there really isn't a bad mech in this set. Now, yes, it's Inner Sphere. Yes, there's some flaws here and there. And there's a couple of special aspects to each mech. I'm not going to get into that because, again, that's pushed up on the YouTube playlist on my channel. But if you had to go out and blind buy all these mechs and you selected them from the list, you have a solid core, a solid stable to build on. My recommendation next, so we're going to go narrative. You're with me here. We're going to do narrative for a little bit. I would go into two extremes. I would look at acquiring a couple of all-energy mechs, maybe looking at the Ost series mechs in there. And for all their quirks and ammo explosions, I would be looking at some autocannon heavy type mechs, Jaeger mech, Rifleman, Blackjack. So this way, because in the core sets, there's a good mix of energy and ballistic weapons in there. You've got a little bit to work off of by diversifying out into both of those extreme roles. And I should say, I'm not recommending specific mechs, but I have to make a specific mech recommendation. You want to obtain a Jenner as soon as possible. That's like purchase number one. It's an energy mech primarily, but it's got some missiles, but in every single area it just excels. If you don't know what the mission is and you have to select a light mech, you take a Jenner. That's a little bit of competitive play in there. A Jenner is an example of something that on every area for its weight class, in terms of armor, tonnage, speed, weapons, it's just like yes, 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 yes. Not one negative thing. Maybe heat management, but pretty much every Inner Sphere mech has some heat challenges on there. Once you get into the clans, that's a little bit different. And soon we will be getting into the clans because your journey has just started on there. But I want to focus on that narrative, and I would recommend look at some energy mechs, and I would recommend start looking at ballistic mechs. For now, and if you've been digging through my archive, you're resisting, it's hard, I'm resisting, I would say stay away from combined arms. Stay away from vehicles, air units, and infantry. Just for now. Absolutely, you're going to get into that. Absolutely, the Total Warfare combined arms of Battletech is amazing. I mean, it's an amazing part of the game to play that. But for now, we want to build up a good backing of mechs in our collection, because even when you go into combined arms, or even if you're like, hey, I want to run, an infantry and tank heavy list, the backbone of the game does revolve around mechs. And you want to get diversity, you want to get options, you want to get tactical choices in there. So the next, depending on your acquisition schedule, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, focus on the mechs.